So I recently bought land in Jamaica. And one of the major things that comes about or discussions that people talk about when buying land is how much did it cost and more so, what are the fees like? So in this video, I'll be giving you a breakdown of all the fees that I have encountered with the purchase of this land that you're seeing right behind me. So stay tuned. Wagwan future millionaires, welcome back to the channel. And yeah, I've added real estate to the portfolio. Now, if you have been watching my videos, you know that this has been a long process. Long to the point where I even had to pay interest to the sellers of this land because the bank took a while to do all their processing and stuff like that. But yeah, this is not the point of the video. The point of this video is to share the fees that you are going to encounter if you want to purchase land in Jamaica. So some people may ask the question, why me decide to buy land? And the reality is that I see land as a better investment than actually buying a home because I can build something that I want to build. And land values are going up in prices. Out of breath because me have a funny land, but land prices are going up in value. So why not add it to the portfolio if it ticks all the right boxes? So like location, price, climate, yeah, all of those tick my boxes as it pertains to something that I want in my portfolio. Plus, this is somewhere that I really want to build my vision. So we know that land ownership is a major goal, but financing is the hurdle that most people run up against and falter whenever they want to acquire their piece of real estate. So for me, my step one is going to start at the pre-approval process. So this will include stuff like proof of income, that's going to be your job letter or your pay slips or some tax history, your credit history, and your debt service ratio. Now, the debt service ratio is basically the bank looking on how many loans you are currently financing. So if you have too much loans, meaning that once you get your money, everything is going towards loans, then probably your debt service ratio is low and they won't accept you for granting you a loan. So in my personal experience, job letter is good because I have a full-time job. So I got my 3 months pay stubs to bring to the financial institution. And in this process also, you'll be getting your pre-approval letter from your financial institution. So from NHT and also from the bank. And your real estate agent is going to get this letter and they're going to go out there and seek some real estate that is in your price point or a real estate that you're currently looking on. So in this interim, if you have any loans, clear it up. Try clear up as many loans as possible. If you are trying to change jobs, don't. And if you change job, then you might have to settle in it for at least a year before you may want to go out and purchase real estate. Now for step 2 is going to be finding the actual land. And in my case, I found it through a real estate agent.
So hi everyone, my name is Courtney Wallace. I am a real estate associate at Century 21. So for this process, initially we had to narrow it down to the different parishes that you're looking for as a potential buyer. And in Demetress's case, we ruled it down to Manchester. So we have this thing called the MLS, which all properties are listed on publicly by other realtors, and we are licensed to sell properties that even we are not the listing agent for. And so what we did was we conducted a search. If it is that you're not finding the property you want right away, we'll put you on something that notifies you, so to speak. And when you do find the property, we do a viewing. Now, our situation was pretty unique because I remember the directions being a little vague, so I had to utilize my skills and go on Google Maps, cross-reference it with the map on the system, and we were able to find this beautiful piece of land. You know, once you get that out of the way and you decide, okay, this is a property that I want, you would advance to making an offer. Now, an offer is much different from a sale agreement. So the offer is like an application, so to speak. This is the price I'm offering. These are the terms, mortgage or cash. This is the % deposit that I'm offering. And the seller accepted. You know, we advanced to the sale agreement and the process begun. So once the procedure begins, the lawyers take over and you start your closing process. Now, your closing time may vary. If you're a cash buyer, it's going to be much shorter than if you are a mortgage buyer. But if there's anything I've learned as a realtor, it is to choose a financial institution that will represent you well. Interest rates are not the only factor in choosing the bank that you want to go with. You want a financial institution that is timely, that will process your documents timely, and you also want an attorney that is knowledgeable in real estate, aka conveyancing, and that will represent you well and get your documents processed on time. So for a cash purchase, I guess you'd be looking at about 2 to 3 months. For a mortgage purchase, I'd say anything between 7 months to a year. That's usually the time that it takes. And so once you have gotten all of that out of the way and your title is in your name and you get your relevant documents done, then you would have started paying your mortgage and you should have possession of the property by the time you're paying mortgage. That is super important as well. So whether it's land or a house, possession versus when you started paying the mortgage is super important. So if you guys have any other questions, let's say you're interested in buying your house, selling your house, and you want to reach out to me, you can contact me. So it's Courtney Ann Wallace. My phone number is 876-465-8811. So that's 876-465-8811.
Thank you, Courtney Ann. So Courtney Ann found the piece of land for me. So now it's time for me to decide if I want it. And ding, 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 I wanted it. So it's time for me to make an offer. Now, for this particular piece of land, I offered around 6 million Jamaican dollars. So that means I'd have to come out of pocket 20% for that deposit. Now, I made 10% deposit to the seller. You're probably asking, where did the next 10% go? Well, that goes to the bank. So that's one of the first expenses that came out of my pocket right there, was the 660,000 to the seller. So yeah, I wonder where that 60,000 come from, or where that 60,000 came from. It was for taxes and GCT, because you do pay that in real estate purchases. Be mindful of that. So I paid 660,000. So now I'm on my merry way. I made the deposit on my land. The sellers accepted it, and now we start the process. Now we're on to step 4. So step 4, step 4 is going to be where you do your due diligence. And this generally happens before you sign the sales agreement. Because as the buyer, you have to make sure that what you see or what you get and what the people might try to sell you is what they're actually selling you. You want to make sure that they aren't breaking any rules, any covenants, any encroaching. And you, as the buyer, you have to pay for that in order to make sure that all checks and balances are checks and balance. Now, first off, you have to go for your valuation. This is to make sure that the price that they're listing the property for sale matches up what the land is actually valued. Chances are it may be higher, it may be lower. You just want to know so that you can make a proper offer. But I did this way before because nobody want the process to go fast. So the valuation that I did, it cost 25,000 Jamaican dollars to get this done. And in my head, to me, that isn't really that bad. Next up, you're going to do the surveying. You want to make sure that you are getting the parcel of land that they have on the paper. You want to make sure that all dimensions are as they are stated and you're actually getting the square footage that you bid for. Now, that came to 60,000 Jamaican dollars to pay for that service. Another thing that you may want to do is a title check on Elan, and that cost around 1,500 Jamaican dollars just to make sure that check is done. So step 4, your due diligence, is land surveying, valuation, and also a title check. Now, all of that to me came back in proper standing order. So I was okay with what I was seeing, so I decided to sign the sales paper. Now, step 5 is going to be getting proper legal services. And with real estate in Jamaica, you need a lawyer to represent you in a real estate purchase. So not only do you need a real estate agent to broker the deal for you, you also need a lawyer to help represent you in this process, because this is a legal matter. As Courtney would have said, a lawyer who specializes in conveyancing, meaning real estate law and real estate sales, They know what to look out for. They know the whole process. They know everything. So just use them. Now, you generally pay the legal fees at the end of the transaction. So when everything complete, you normally pay the lawyer. Now, I paid my lawyer around 95,000 Jamaican dollars to finish up this whole procedure. So next, I'll move on to the bank fees. Now, I found a banker. They said they're going to finance me for this loan. So they're going to do their own valuation. Little did I know that that valuation would still cost me, so I had to pay for the valuation twice. So I paid another 25,000 again for the bank's valuation, and I had to pay the bank 600,000 for the deposit. So remember that 600,000 I mentioned further up in the video that I paid 660,000 to the seller. I had to pay another 600,000 to the bank. So while they were processing the loan and they took their sweet time to get everything done, I had to pay loan fees. So the loan fees that accumulated to 142,040 Jamaican dollars. But the fees didn't stop there. There's more. They do a stamp duty and registration fees for 24,520 Jamaican dollars. Plus, they do a HLTV. I don't remember that definition. I have to look it up. But that's 45,600 Jamaican dollars. You see how much fees the bank take apart from the deposit? So when people say, oh, just have 20% down for the deposit, let's say the house is for 30 million, and people say, oh, just have 10% down, just have 3 million. No, have way more than that. Have 20 to 25% down, because these fees really do add up fast. Now, all in all, that was supposed to finish the whole process of me getting this land. All those fees were supposed to be just that. But there was a twist to the story. So this purchase didn't go as smooth as I wanted it. Now, this process started around November and deposit was made in December to the seller. And the process stretched farther than 6 months, I think. And the seller gave us a closing of 120 days. So that's 3 months, right? Now, my lawyer and both my real estate agents say, yeah, this is very possible. This can be done. However, the bank didn't agree, and they took their sweet merry time. And the seller started to charge me interest. So a lot of back and forward. My lawyer and the seller's lawyer, and they were just trying to do this amicably. They wanted this process to go smoothly for both sides. And my lawyer had my best interest at heart, because he went to bat for me. And he negotiated a lot of these fees with them, because the interest was supposed to be higher. But eventually, when the bank decided to disperse the money and the transactions were going through, my total that I had to come out of pocket to pay the seller was $176,301.76. Now, thank God that I had some cash saved for this real estate purchase, some emergency money, some get backs money, because I know things can go south. But trust me, it was a shocker for a financial institution to be the one that is being slow to disperse the money, is being the one to go over the paperwork slowly, but yet I have to pay for their discrepancies. It wasn't good. It wasn't nice. It rubbed me the wrong way, but it is what it is, and that's a part of living in Jamaica, and you may have to go through that. So hopefully you're more assertive than me, and you guys are pressing the banks to make sure that they don't cause this to happen to you. But the long wait is over. I know what you guys are here for. So that brings my total closing cost to $1,857,908.35. So that's a lot of money. And those are the fees that you may have to pay for a land that is valued around 6 million Jamaican dollars. So hopefully this video has been educational, and for those who plan to return to Jamaica to purchase land, or for those who live in Jamaica and want to purchase land, you can get yourself ready for these fees and just the whole process of buying land in Jamaica. Thank you for watching. This has been Demetress Fairman, and until next time, work hard, make money, and happy investing.